you know the biggest, worst financial mistake I've ever made? Financing a car. Why didn't I listen to my dad when I sold my first car that he kindly bought for me and put that money down on a deposit on a finance car? He literally said, you're more or less stuck now, unless you want to pay like a balloon payment at the end, which is like $7,000. Why did I do it? Because the irony is, that particular car got written off. Then, silly me, got this huge insurance payout and put that money down on an even more expensive car. But only me can pay their monthly payments back on my salary. I don't have a salary right now because I'm on maternity leave, which means a huge chunk of money of my maternity pay is going on a car that just sits and runs me to and from Morrison's or to my mum and dad's. And it's not even a brand new car, it's a 2018 plate, but it's costing me an absolute fortune. And I'm just so pissed off with myself. Here I am, literally, I emailed them on Monday to see if they could get me a cheaper car. Because as I've gotten older, I've realised that actually, who cares if you haven't got a flash car? I'm 23 years old, I don't need a flash car. The worst part is I literally look back and the insurance payout that I got could have been like a 5% house deposit. But here we are renting. Honestly, I wish that my dad could control my bank account. It actually makes me feel sick. I could be in such a different position right now. Thank God I paid extra for gap insurance, because it literally paid off my finance for the car that got written off, and then I just got the remaining lump sum back. And I still look at it now and I'm like, why? Why did I use that money to get another car on finance, an expensive car on finance? I literally could have put money down on a house, on a 5% deposit. Don't get me wrong, it's not a massive deposit, but it's still a deposit. Now I literally spunked it up the wall. Anyone else feel me? Because it's just the worst fucking thing I ever did.
So this is one of the worst pieces of financial advice I ever received in my 20s. So when I was about like 24, 25, my husband and I were living in Minnesota at the time and looking to purchase a home. And so we were going through the whole process of looking at homes, getting pre-approval, etc. And this is when we were meeting with a lender, and he was walking us through the steps of what we needed to do. And one of the things he told us that we should do was pull out all of our money from our 401k so we could increase what our down payment could be, and so we could be more competitive. There's a couple reasons why that was awful advice for us in our situation. I don't mean this to be like a blanket statement for other people, but I would highly caution others who are looking to pull money out of their 401k to increase their purchase power for a home. One, for a 401k, there are significant penalties for withdrawing your money before your retirement age. Not only are you paying higher tax, but there's an additional like 10% fee or something like that for you to be taking money out. Second, the whole point of starting your 401k as early as you can is so that you can take advantage of compound interest, which will fully maximize as times like decades later. So taking that money out would not only cause us to pay a significant penalty, it also completely diminishes the whole point of why someone would start a 401k. And lastly, I don't even remember what price home we were looking at, but if we were in a certain situation where the lender considered that we needed to have more cash in order to be competitive, and that meant to pull money from our 401k, that probably meant we were looking at a price point that was higher than we could afford, which means that we're putting ourselves in a situation where we're hurting ourselves in the long term by taking money away from retirement, but also the short term because we were probably looking at a house that means we couldn't afford yet. Thankfully, we did not take that advice, and we decided actually not to buy a home, and we ended up getting a job opportunity to move out of California and leaving Minnesota, so it all really worked out. But if that's advice that lenders are giving, especially to people who are in their early 20s and are blindly following these lenders and these experts that they want to trust in, it's kind of dangerous. So do your research before you are blindly following advice from anyone, especially if they have some sort of incentive and some sort of personal gain that they get for you to make some sort of financial decision. Follow for more videos.
You should definitely avoid these 3 stupid financial mistakes if you ever want to become wealthy. I would know because I personally went through all 3 of them. After I graduated and got my first job, I was saving up a decent amount of money. My total expenses per month, including rent and food, was probably only around $800. And even though I was pretty young, I knew what I was supposed to do with my money. Invest in the S&P 500, but that was too slow for young Frank. As many traders thought, well, I'm better than everyone else. Surely I can make a ton of money trading. After just watching Wolf of Wall Street, I thought, how hard could this be? It turns out pretty hard. I had some initial success. I doubled $2,000 to $4,000 within a couple weeks. But then I promptly lost all of my gains and more within several days. The thing about penny stocks is that it's like a roller coaster, except you never know when it's about to drop. I lost so much money day trading penny stocks that I only had enough money left to fly to my new job and pay the first month's rent. Of course, I did not learn my lesson, and I would also start to day trade options. Again, I had some initial success, and one day I made over $50,000. But you can probably imagine how this turned out. I ended up losing all of my money again. This time stung a bit more because I found more success, and I also had much more money to lose. Losing all of my money twice wasn't enough for young Frank though. Of course, I had to go for the three-peat. The next time I lost all of my money was through a cryptocurrency scam. The only lesson learned there was a very common one. If it's too good to be true, it most likely is. Luckily for me, even though I lost all of my money 3 times in my life, they were all relatively early in my career, so I made way more money later. And while it most definitely sucked a lot during the time, it could have been a lot worse if I went through these phases later in life. Most people will go through a lot of the same pains that I went through, usually personally, because most young people, like myself, are too stubborn to really listen to the advice of other people. You always think that you're better than everyone else until you're not, and you lose all your money. Everyone wants to make a quick buck. Everyone wants to get rich quick. I'm just here to let you know that that's usually the quickest path to become poor. But yeah, you don't have to take my word for it. You can go through all the pain yourself and then have a cool story to tell other people on the internet.
What has been your biggest financial mistake to date?
Getting a credit card and abusing it when I was like 20 years old.
Okay,
Yeah.
and that, I guess, shocked your credit score?
Yeah, to say the least.
Okay.
And like it takes so long to recover from that.
Yeah.
It came down to not being taught properly how to use it,
Yeah.
honestly. Yeah.
And so how has that affected you, like, now?
I've applied for credit cards then over the last like 10 years, and it's been difficult. I've had difficulties with it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
So
So what advice would you give to younger you?
search out financial advice, especially for credit cards, and don't use it as a bank card
Yeah,
at all.
definitely.
Yeah.
Pay it off as soon as you can. Yeah,
100%.
definitely. Well, thank you very much. I
Cool.
appreciate your
Yeah, have a
time.
good one.
Thank you.
What's the worst Finfluencer advice you've seen?
Saying that people needed to build up their savings before they were paying off their credit card debt. Financially, that's a huge mistake. Whatever the savings you have, pay off the credit card debt, even if that means you're zeroed out, because the credit card debt costs you so much and the savings account is not earning you anything. And so you're just transferring value, which I thought was just numerically incorrect advice.
What is the biggest money mistake you've ever made? I'll go first. This probably isn't the type of video that you expected it to be, but relatively speaking, I haven't made big money mistakes. I feel so fortunate that I learned about personal finance when I did, because the money mistakes that I have made in my life have been relative to my age and my income. And that's why it's so important to learn about this now while your income is still low and build that strong financial foundation so that when you eventually do make a lot of money, you know how to allocate it. You hear it all the time that people say that they'll start saving and investing when they make more money, but the time to start building those good financial habits is now. So I'm Erin. Follow me to learn how to become better with your money.
What's the biggest mistake financially?
People try to minimize their expenses and to save money, and what they don't know is they're just losing the opportunity to make more money. Every time I want to make more money, I just get a new car or something, and that for me, it pushed me up to make more money.
Here are 5 financial mistakes that I made in my 20s as a now 27-year-old with a multiple 6-figure net worth. Number 1 was focusing my entire financial strategy around spending as little money as possible. This is not a sustainable way to approach your finances, and the negative impact that this had on my mental health still to this day is alarming. Okay, it costs money to live, it costs money to exist. We work really hard for our money, and if you're intentional about the way you're spending it, you will see more success than just focusing on not spending any money at all. Beyond that, I look back and I'm like, there are so many plans, experiences that I turned down because I just didn't want to spend money, and I regret that. Number 2 is not creating any sort of financial plan or budget early on that factored in my goals. So like I said, my whole strategy was just not spending any money, and I wasn't thinking about what I was actually working towards. Setting financial goals gives you direction, it gives you motivation, it provides clarity around what you're doing. So having a budget, my recommendation is that you create a zero-based 3-bucket budget. So a budget that allocates out all of your income to either an essential expense, a financial goal, or a non-essential expense. Doing this will give you so much peace of mind and confidence in your financial future. I figured this out when I was 24 or 25, and obviously things have worked out nicely for me. But if I had started doing this sooner, I just think about how much more money I could have saved or invested at this point. Number 3 is not negotiating any of my job offers. So I have a post that goes through my different salaries and how I was able to save and invest the amount of money that I have at this point. But I didn't negotiate anything, and I regret doing that. Because A, a lot of jobs will lowball you under the guise that you're going to negotiate, and B, I was just too scared. I didn't know what to do. I could have spent some time learning how to properly negotiate instead of thinking that it was like this really awkward confrontational thing. Number 4 is leaving all of my money in a traditional savings account. And I wish that I hadn't done this because traditional savings accounts are a waste of space. I should have been keeping all of my cash savings in a high yield savings account. I do have a free guide and a video talking about high yield savings account, so you can get that on my page or you can go watch the video. But use this as your sign. If you don't have a high yield savings account, you need one. And number 5, and this one I know is going to make people mad, is thinking that real estate was the end all be all and that renting was throwing money away. Real estate is not always the best financial decision at every point in life for everyone. It is so situational depending on where you live, how much money you have, how much you can afford, what your goals are, and we are fed what I believe is a lie that you are not successful if you rent, and if you rent, you're throwing money away, and real estate is the pinnacle of financial success. This is not true, and it's not a healthy mindset to have.
Story time about one of the worst financial decisions I've ever made. Disclaimer, this is not bashing anyone, okay? No one. I have no hard feelings, no hate, no drama. From 2020 to 2022, I was an online fitness coach, and I had a full-blown business. I had employees, I had an assistant coach. At one point, we probably had like 70 clients, and I loved it. I loved it so much, but there was always this pressure to quote-unquote invest in yourself and invest in your business, which I do not disagree with, okay? The more advanced you get in your business, the more you are encouraged to invest and the more expensive it gets. So I decided to spend, I'm cringing saying this, $7,000 on a business coach. And that was discounted. And it did absolutely nothing for me. So at the point of investing in this coach, my business was kind of slowing down and I really needed help with just picking it back up, and I wanted to get to the point where I could not have to do the sales part anymore. So that was my end goal, was I really wanted to outsource the sales portion of the coaching. I really wanted to do just the social media and coach my few clients that I had. And that business coach really didn't do anything for me at all. Like, looking back, I really don't remember making any moves with her at all about anything. She told me I needed to go to therapy, and that's about it. And the fact that I spent $7,000 on that could have been a down payment for a car. That could have been in my savings for my future house that I am saving for right now. The amount of regret that I have in spending that much money for a business that I'm not even doing anymore actively, I regret it so much. It was by far my worst financial decision I've ever made.
I won $100,000 after winning America's Next Top Model in 2017, and here is the story of my biggest financial mistake of my life. So after I won the show, they actually gave me a check for $100,000. Boom, baby, I'm rich! And for some reason, my little itty-bitty undeveloped brain thought that that meant it was $100,000 post-tax. Like, they obviously already took out the game show tax because I got a check for $100,000. Newsflash, not the case. So anyways, I go and spend the $100,000. I paid $60,000 for an apartment in New York, but I had a roommate paying me back, and then I subleased it and they paid me back. Anyways, it wasn't that horrible of an investment, but obviously not the smartest thing I could have done. And then the rest of the money I spent taking my family on like nice dinners, and I bought one pair of shoes. And anyways, I spent the entire $100,000. I also got a car. Like, yeah, I spent the money, okay? What I should have done was put aside 35 to 40% of the money for taxes so that I'd be ready to pay that. But I didn't do that. I spent it all. And so I spent the next several years paying back the money in taxes to the IRS. Whenever you watch a game show and you see like, oh my God, they won $10,000 or they won a new car or whatever it is, just take that with a grain of salt, because not only are they going to be taxed on the actual cashola that they bring home, but like when you get a free car, you don't really get a free car. You have to pay the taxes and then all the other things that come with winning a prize on television. For the $1 million that you win on Survivor, you probably got to pay like $400,000 in taxes. That's nuts. But anyways, anytime I talk about this, people always freak out and they're like, oh my God, you're such an idiot. It's like, yeah, I was kind of an idiot. That's why I'm making this video in hindsight, okay? Lesson learned, and yeah, always prepare for taxes, everyone.
Top 5 worst financial decisions that I've made. Number 1, moving out of my parents' house to a very expensive area that I don't even like. Number 2, having a $780 car payment. What in the fuck? I do have reasoning. My last car, somebody crashed into me. I had Gap insurance. I put a lot of money down on the car. After all that, I lost whatever money I put down onto the car. So it ticked me off and I was like, I'm putting no money down on this car and paying a lot monthly. Also, that car happens to be a coupe, which is a very compact vehicle if you didn't know. So that leads us into the next one. Number 3, buying a second car and it being a Mini Cooper, so it's like very small. I have 2 cars that I can't fit jack shit in. Number 4, letting a credit card add up and not having a job. So basically I was living at my parents' house, let my credit card add up, and it was only like a little bit because I was like 19, but it was still enough to where I had to get a job, and the first couple paychecks went straight to the credit card. Number 5, paying for college and basically just messing around and not doing jack shit. And meanwhile, I'm very dumb because I'm sitting there paying for it. Meanwhile, like, I'm not putting any effort into anything. That's all of them. I want you to send this to somebody who has concrete grippers as feet.
It is so unnecessary and probably one of the worst financial decisions you can make to buy a car and get a car loan. Most people that buy luxury items, especially on loans, are simply doing it for the external validation. So I would prompt you to actually think and process, why am I making this financial decision? Is it for them or is it for me? Most of the time, it's for them. And why would you put yourself into debt for them? The people that are impressed by your new car are not people you want to be around, because the people that you actually want in your life, they are not going to be driving those Lamborghini cars unless it's actually paid off. The people that you want to hang around with are the ones that have that beat up old car, but their net worth is multi-millions. Be so sincere with the financial decisions you make, because if you've ever heard of compound interest, it is quite literally the secret sauce to making you rich, and investing in your 20s will make you significantly richer in the long run than starting to invest in your 30s and 40s. If you're trying to be rich, not just in your wallet, but also in your mind, make sure to give me a follow.
I put myself into debt, $45,000 worth of debt, not including my car note. With my car note, it's $55,000. No one forced me. No one tricked me. I did that to myself. For a long time, I really just wanted to blame this situation on everybody else except for myself. I would say things like, oh, I had to spend money because of this, or I had to spend money because of that. But I just never knew how to handle my money. And that's just the facts. And I made really bad choices, plain and simple. Now I'm the one paying for those choices, literally. And instead of running from it, because I've been running away from it for almost a year and a half now, I'm facing it. No more excuses. The best part about my journey is that I'm trusting God through it all. I know that He's gonna allow me to see a victory through this. And I want you guys to come on this journey with me, where we put our faith in God, we make better decisions, and we hold ourselves accountable. If you've ever made bad decisions with your finances, let's be real about it. What's one financial mistake you've made before?
My husband and I are a little over $1 million in debt. Let's talk about it and how we got here. I'm Brooke. I'm a nurse practitioner. My husband and I both have doctorate degrees. He is a CRNA. We both started out as nurses. We both worked for approximately 3 years, and then we went back to school. During that time, we had to take out student loans, and we also used credit cards to help with our cost of living. I graduated in 2022. My husband graduated in 2023. When my husband graduated, we were able to pay off $32,000 worth of credit card debt. So overall, our financials were looking a lot better. And at that time, we weren't $1 million in debt. Now we have a mortgage, and so that is what's included in our debt. Let's kind of break down everything that we have right now. We have a Bank of America Visa. It's a 0% interest card. It'll be paid off by December. The only thing is we've had to use it for a couple house purchases here and there. We purchased a couch where we moved into our new house. That total is $4,029. We had to pay for new carpet for our house. That balance right now is $1,625. And we also had our water heater go out, and we had our drip pan that had to be replaced for our AC. And so that totals to $1,861. And these are all 0% interest, and we have it to where we're paying the set amount monthly so that they're paid off by December. I have $2,940 in medical bills. We have a car loan for $30,212. That's 2 student loans. My husband's are $273,000, and mine are $173,000. For our mortgage, we are at $512,545, and that brings us to the total of $1,003,252.
I made a huge financial mistake. When my husband and I got married, I've been married for 8 years, we got a Subaru. And this Subaru, we were like, bro, we're gonna drive this mother trucker to the ground. We drove that sucker to the ground so much that it quite literally couldn't move. So I went into the dealer, found a car that I absolutely loved, proceeded to purchase a $40,000 vehicle with 0 down at 7% interest. Here are the things that went horribly wrong. We were in this like state of survival mode. Oh, we need to get a car as soon as possible. We don't care what it is. And so we weren't able to think clearly. The second thing we did wrong was we put literally nothing down. The guy's asking me like, what are you going to put down? Like literally, sir, $0. And then he's like, what's your credit score? Sir, I just bought a $180,000 cabin in Kentucky. My credit score is terrible. So we had a $627 monthly car payment. We rationalized that because our Kentucky property's cash flow is paying for this depreciating asset, it's okay, we can afford it. Although I think this is among the righter ways to make purchases for your lifestyle, it is still wrong because debt like a vehicle is bad debt. There are times where I will make extremely good financial decisions and other times where I'm just like, I don't know what to do. I don't know. If you are in this same predicament, you know how awful it is to have a car payment. It's not cute. Now, the biggest takeaway I want you to have from this is financial literacy is not easy. It was literally not taught in school. And lastly, you get to decide what the heck you're going to do with your money. If you want to buy a lifestyle when you can't afford that lifestyle, I mean, do your thing, shawty. But true wealth is when you start spending money on things you can actually afford. Follow me for part 2 where I tell you exactly what I'm doing to fix this huge financial mistake.
Here are the 2 worst financial mistakes I ever made. And this is coming from a normal person. I'm not super financially successful, but I'm also not a disconnected rich person who's going to tell you, well, after I sold my 6th property, then I didn't quite get the return on the 7th property. No, it's nothing like that. For people that are closer to my situation, you know, you're starting to have some money that you're looking to save up or invest or whatever. These are 2 of the worst mistakes I ever made. Number 1, sports gambling. Don't do it. The only way I can tell you it's okay to sports gamble is if you have a healthy relationship with gambling, and that is that like you can put the occasional small amount of money on a game to, you know, just kind of have a good time with your friends or something like that. Gambling is an addiction just like any drug, just like anything else. But instead of hurting your body or your brain, it's going to kill your bank account. It is a sickness. It will get into your brain and it will destroy your financial life way faster than you realize. Like my story with gambling was when I first started gambling on sports, I went up $7,000 within the first 4 months, right? The needle was in me. Okay. I was like, oh, I could probably never work again. I could just do this full time, blah, blah, blah. Going insane. Okay. Probably within a month or 2 of gaining that $7,000, I had lost all of it and then also down an additional $1,000. And then ever since that point, all I did was lose. I would win a little bit and then I would lose twice that amount until eventually I lost $12,000. So it's like alcohol. If you can maintain a very healthy, moderate relationship with it, then that's fine. But as soon as you understand that it's becoming a problem, as soon as you understand that it's becoming an addiction, you cannot do it. I'm telling you right now, it's designed to infect your brain. You will not win. This business wouldn't exist if you were going to win. People don't win. The companies win. The second thing is another form of gambling, the stock market. And I'm not telling people not to invest in the stock market. You should absolutely, if you're able to, put money into the stock market. But don't fool yourself into thinking that you're going to become a day trader. That is a mistake that I made, like a lot of people in 2020. I thought, I'm going to become a day trader. I know a lot about stocks. Blah, blah, blah. No, I know nothing. There are people that dedicate their entire lives to studying financials, studying stocks, that are still wrong all the time. If you're one of those people that is your job is to study financial reports and understand companies, then that is when like actual day trading makes sense. The mistake that I made is that all of my money the entire time should have been going into long-term index funds. What I did was I took a bunch of money, I put it into certain stocks. Some of them did all right, so I was like, oh, I know what I'm doing, blah, blah, blah. And then I put a bunch of money into other stocks and a bunch of them tanked, okay? The only stocks that have performed well consistently over time are long-term index funds. So if you're just going to dump your money in and forget about it, which is what you should do unless you are trying to day trade, which again, you shouldn't unless you're trying to make that your long-term career, which you shouldn't, okay? Dump money into ETFs, forget about it, let it rise over time. It's going to crash. It will crash. That's an inevitability. People doomsday every year. Oh, the stock market crash is coming. Yeah, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Okay. Keep investing. Keep putting money in, whether the stock market is high, whether the stock market is low. Pick index funds, dump it in, leave it, let it grow over time. The ones I recommend are the S&P, VTI, and VOO. Those are the ones that I'm most heavily invested in. So if you're like, young, wherever you're at in life, if you're starting to get to the point where you have some savings, you're starting to think about investing money, don't do those things. There are two things that I screwed up that I now have the benefit of hindsight to tell you, do not do it.
I owned this car for literally one day. Okay, you guys, the past 2 days of my life have been so insanely stressful, and let me tell you why. So I bought my car. Woohoo! Yay! I didn't even get to really like enjoy it because the financing and like all of the contracting part, they fucked me so hard. They messed me up so hard. I didn't realize how bad the refinancing contract was, blase, blase, blase. I didn't realize any of these things until, of course, I call my father and I tell him, like, I'm all excited. I'm like, oh, they did this and this. And my dad's like, what? Basically, they signed me up for gap insurance, didn't need it. And honestly, guys, I can go back and forth about how shitty the contract was, but luckily, there's a 2-day canceling, like, contract fee. So instead of buying this car that I was so excited to do, I am no longer buying this car, and I'm here at Mercedes-Benz right now, and I'm dropping it off. I owned this car for literally one day. I'm just going to trade it in, forget the contract, whatever, and in a few months, I will be getting into a new car, and I say a few months because we have some life-changing things coming up that you guys don't know about yet, and you guys will know very soon, and then you will understand why it is not smart for me to get into a vehicle right now, okay? So stay tuned for that, but yeah, long story short, I feel like I really try to do what was best financially. I was like, okay, I'm gonna buy this car for the low, and then I'm gonna sell it and I'm gonna flip it, whatever. It was not that simple, and it was never that simple, and I'm just a girl. Walking away from the situation, I can say that I learned a lot and what not to do moving forward, so I am blessed and grateful for that. But I'm really not liking Mercedes-Benz right now, or like the people at this exact location, because of how they went about things. They literally played me. Anyways, I'm here. Let's drop it off, whatever. I brought Pumbaa. I brought him today for some emotional support. Come on, Pumbaa. Let's go. I have officially arrived with my special guest, Pumbaa.
What is one of the worst financial decisions or mistakes you've ever made? I'll go first. I changed my insurance premium trying to save a couple dollars took off the gap insurance, took off the rental insurance, made my deductible high as hell, and then guess what? Got in an accident about a month later and had to pay out of pocket like crazy. Didn't have a car for like a month and still had to get to work and make things shake. So yeah, that's me. That's one of my worst financial decisions. What about you? Tell me in the comments, what are some of your worst financial mistakes? Hey, this is a safe space. Because maybe somebody's scrolling through this video about to make a bad decision. They see the comments and they be like, you know what? I'm not doing that. Fuck that. And to be honest, I've made a lot of bad financial decisions. But I could have made a lot more. Sometimes you can see other people's situation and be like, you know what? Nah, not for me. So what are some of your worst financial decisions or mistakes? So me and everybody else can know we don't need to be doing that.